Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Lewis University Television Network. Today's Thursday, April 24th, 2025. I'm Francesca Corso.
And I'm Brandon Najera.
Tonight, Americans have lost more than $16 billion in an FBI scam. Plus, a Florida man arrested for restraining an 11-year-old girl in front of his lawn for egging his house. Later, Meta and Apple are being slammed by the European Union after a decision to hit the U.S. tech industry with tariffs. Now, we start tonight with the heartbreaking news for millions all over the world. The Pope's singular open wooden casket, reverent in its simplicity among the grand altar of St. Peter's, will lie in the state for public viewing until his funeral. For hours, somber hymns and music filled in the air, mixed with the quiet steps and hushed final respects from thousands of mourners passing by. Outside, long lines crossed St. Peter's Square, and at one point stretching beyond the walls of Vatican City. Many coming to see him were in Rome by chance on vacation or a business trip. In his last wishes, Pope Francis says he wanted to be buried at the Chapel of Santa Maria Maggiore. He is the first pope in more than a century to be buried there. Joining 7 previous popes, inclusivity is what many say they remember most about Pope Francis. And when 120 cardinals choose the pope's successor in coming weeks, mourners hope these values will endure.
A group of 12 states is suing the Trump administration over President Donald Trump's tariffs. He claims he can impose them single-handedly due to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. It gives the president authority to respond to unusual and extraordinary threats. The lawsuit argues his use of that law is an overreach. It notes the Constitution gives Congress the power to collect taxes and duties. The lawsuit comes as Trump says negotiations during his 90-day pause on so-called reciprocal tariffs might not last 90 days in some cases. He says he might have some rates settled in 2 or 3 weeks.
President Donald Trump says President Vladimir Zelensky is prolonging the war through inflammatory statements. Trump posted about negotiations to end the conflict between Ukraine and Russia just hours after President J.D. Vance said now is the time for a peace deal. Vance also floating the idea of redrawing the borders of both countries, basically saying each side would have to give up some land. As one of the final steps in reaching peace, after a key meeting in London between leaders from the U.S., the UK, and Ukraine aimed at bringing an end to the war was downgraded after Secretary of State Marco Rubio said he would be skipping the summit he would be expected to be part of due to logistics. U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Keith Kellogg, will represent the U.S. instead, and simultaneously, Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, is expected to be in Moscow this week for direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Americans lost more than $16 billion to online scams last year. According to the FBI's 2024 Internet Crimes Report, there were nearly 800,000 reports of suspected cyber crimes. The top 3 were phishing scams, extortion, and personal data breaches. The most losses involved investment fraud, particularly cryptocurrency. Those losses exceeded $6.5 billion alone. The most complaints came from adults over the age of 60. 3 states, California, Texas, and Florida, reported the most incidents.
A Florida man was arrested over the weekend after restraining a girl he thought was vandalizing his property. Authorities in Hillsborough County say Marius Mutu tackled and pinned down an 11-year-old on Saturday afternoon. Mutu told deputies someone had been egging his apartment over the past few days, and he assumed the girl was to blame. The girl can be heard screaming for help in the video, saying she didn't do anything. Mutu was charged with 1 count of battery and 1 count of false imprisonment. He was released on bond. Officials say the girl is unnamed. Up next, the European Union's new tariffs on the American tech industry, plus the news on declining reef populations across the globe. Stay with us.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my 3rd child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
It is a new day for jobs and careers, and the skills needed to compete are rapidly changing. This is why more students are choosing Lewis University. Lewis prepares you for emerging opportunities in some of the most highly sought after fields. Higher education is the most crucial investment you can make in your future. Lewis provides you with a lasting education that will launch you towards success today and strong, growing careers of tomorrow. Begin an education that will pay dividends for a lifetime. Learn more at lewisu.edu.
For over 50 years, WLRA has been on air showcasing countless students. As the first all-digital college radio station, Lewis University students are given access to industry-leading equipment. Equipment that commercial stations utilize, equipment that creates, and equipment that brings radio to life.
I like WLRA because it gives me the opportunity to get experience with news broadcasting and working with radio.
Stop by De La Salle 210 or at WLRA Radio to get started on your radio career.
The European Union has fined Apple and Meta hundreds of dollars in the first enforcement of its landmark digital competition law. The penalties for breaching the Digital Markets Act come amid attacks on the EU by the Trump administration for what it seems as the bloc's unfair targeting of U.S. companies. The European Commission, the EU executive arm, said Wednesday it fined Apple $570 million for breaching the Act's App Store policies, and it fined Meta $228 million over its collection of personal data for targeted advertising on its platform. A Meta spokesperson said the EU is trying to handicap successful American businesses and called the fine a tariff. The Apple rep said its fine is another example of the European Commission unfairly targeting the company. Both companies plan to appeal.
Federal marine scientists say 84% of the world's coral reefs have been harmed by the largest bleaching event on record, which started in 2023. Bleaching happens when heat interferes with the coral's metabolism, making it turn white. The coral isn't necessarily dead, but prolonged bleaching can kill it. A global coral bleaching event is when bleaching is confirmed in all of the ocean's basins at once. This is the fourth global event, which the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says started on January 1st, 2023. Scientists say rising sea temperatures are making prolonged bleaching more frequent and severe.
A federal judge slammed the Justice Department Tuesday for its handling of the Kilmar Garcia case. He's the man the Trump administration mistakenly deported to El Salvador last month. District Judge Paula Zenitz previously ordered the administration to facilitate his return. Now, the Justice Department is engaged in a discovery process to determine if the administration is complying with that order. Zenith ruled Tuesday Justice Department lawyers are not complying with their obligation to produce information. They are attempting to invoke privilege to avoid providing the written discovery Garcia's attorneys are seeking. Zenith's ruling says they haven't submitted any facts that would support that privilege claim and are not acting in good faith.
A new study found legalizing cannabis products may be linked to more Canadian teens using the substance. The study found teen use of cannabis rose 26% in Canadian provinces that legalized the sale of edibles and extracts in October of 2019, and edible use increased 43%. That raises concerns about youth-friendly forms of the drug, such as cannabis chocolates, candies, sodas, and desserts. The study was based on a survey of more than 100,000 students between the ages of 12 and 17. It also found use remained stable in Quebec, where the sale of those products was still banned. The study was published Friday in the journal JAMA Network Open. One expert says teens who regularly use cannabis products are at greater risk for developing dependency disorders later in life. And he said some studies suggest cannabis use during adolescence, especially heavy use, could alter brain development.
Drones can now help deliver supplies on Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain. 2 drones from Airlift Technology, a drone mapping startup, can safely transport about 44 pounds at a time. They can carry ropes and ladders, as well as life-saving medical equipment, to a glacier between Everest Base Camp and Camp 1. It takes Sherpas, the local climbing experts, 6 to 7 hours to make this same dangerous journey, but it only takes the drones about 6 to 7 minutes. That's a really big deal because it now makes climbing for Sherpas a lot safer and will likely save lives. The drones will help Sherpas transport equipment between the 2025 season startup, then pick up trash once it begins. Each drone costs about $70,000. Next, the longtime Illinois Senator Dick Durbin will not seek re-election after his term is up. Plus, the Chicago firefighter who passed away recently during a West Side garage fire will be back after these messages.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to say but I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking, now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
A semi-truck crashed into a building in West Chicago this afternoon, prompting multiple road closures. The incident occurred just after 1:45 p.m. on Powys Road and Harvester Road, where the truck left the road and struck a warehouse. Another vehicle was involved in the crash, but all parties declined medical treatment at the scene. Police have closed Powys Road from Arthur Drive to Hawthorne Lane, and Harvester Road is also closed at Powys Road. This is a developing story. Stay tuned for further updates.
In a major political development, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin announced he will not seek re-election in 2026, concluding over 4 decades of service in Congress. The 80-year-old Democrat, currently the senator's number 2 leader, stated, "It's time to pass the torch," marking a significant moment in the state's political landscape. Durbin's departure opens the door for a competitive race with potential Democratic candidates including Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton and Representatives Raja Krishnamurthy, Lauren Underwood, and Robin Kelly. Republicans also see an opportunity to flip the seat, despite Illinois' Democratic leaning. Durbin's legacy includes advocating for immigrant rights and public health, notably his role in banning smoking on commercial flights. He vows to continue fighting for Illinois and the nation during his remaining time in the Senate.
A Chicago firefighter has died in the line of duty after a garage fire on the city's west side. Captain David Meyer, a 28-year-old veteran of the Chicago Fire Department, was critically injured when a garage collapsed on him during a fire in the 1200 block of Pine Avenue early Wednesday morning. He was transported to Stroger Hospital, where he later died from his injuries. Investigators say the fire was caused by the ignition of trash in a bin. A person of interest is in police custody and being questioned by Police Captain Meyer. Captain Meyer is remembered as a dedicated public servant, leaving behind a wife and 4 children.
A new report from the American Lung Association ranks the Chicago metro area as the 15th worst in the nation for ozone pollution, earning an F grade with an average of 20.3 unhealthy air days per year. The 2025 State of the Air report also places Chicago's 13th worst for year-round particle pollution and 53rd for short-term particle pollution, with the region receiving failing grades across all of 3 categories. Nearly half of Americans, about 156 million people, live in these areas with unhealthy levels of air pollution. According to the report, experts attribute the worsening air quality to extreme heat and wildfires, which have increased ozone and particle pollution nationwide. Health officials warn that exposure to these pollutants can lead to asthma attacks, heart disease, and premature death. With communities of color disproportionately affected, the report calls for urgent action to strengthen air quality standards and protect public health. LUTN reporter Christian Kluver visited the Lewis University log splitting event on campus. The goal of the event is to serve hundreds of families from the poorest community in the nation, Hopkins Park. Let's take a look.
Cold temperatures can be dangerous, especially for families who struggle affording heat. Thanks to a special event at Lewis University, students and athletes grabbed their axes and got to work. The mission, splitting and stacking firewood to help heat homes in Hopkins Park.
The goal of this log splitting event is to reach out and help this neighborhood that's very in distress. It's in Hopkins Park. And it was also to involve the students at Lewis University into, can we give back? Can we do service? But instead of just maybe picking up trash or some simple things that are important, I thought we could combine this together with our ministry department and create wood out of invasive trees and pruning. I could turn it into something very useful for a neighborhood, again, that's in distress.
The split wood is delivered directly to families in Hopkins Park, a community where many struggle with high heating costs during the winter. For them, this firewood is more than just warmth, it's a lifeline.
We turn the splitted wood into firewood to help them heat their homes. Neighbors and our friends down in Hopkins Park, they have access to a little bit of propane, a little bit of electric, but that's expensive. They do not have access, which is really important to know, to gas. And I thought taking this pile of wood that would basically just become junk, 110 to 120 some volunteers, mainly Lewis University students, generated 72 to 78 tons of split wood.
This event is more than just a tradition. It's a way to bring those together for a cause that truly matters. As temperatures drop, the work being done here at Lewis University is going to keep families of Hopkins Park warm all season long.
If you go into any store, you'll see like the little bundles of wood. They're like $10. Here on campus, we're Arboretum, and we have all these trees that get taken down for various reasons. So what are we going to do with it? So it's a sustainable way to get rid of the wood, to help the families down in this community. So it's just a really great way to make sure everything gets used. And, you know, with the community down there where it's one of the poorest cities in the nation, $10 means a lot.
The families that require a lot on the work, it's a small community, and we have a lot of volunteers that have dump trailers like we have in the background there. And we are going to go to the individual residents. So the residents will take this wood. Now they'll be able to have this get seasoned, move around, stacked, and we'll be able to prepare before what the winter lies ahead. And this stuff will be utilized in so many homes and families down there.
This event is proof that a little bit of group effort can go a long way in making a difference. Thanks to Lewis University students, staff, and faculty, families of Hopkins Park will stay warm all season long. Organizers hope that this event continues, ensuring that families of nearby communities won't have to face the cold without the heat. For LUTN, this is Christian Kluver.
Thanks, Christian. Up next, we'll have your entertainment update.
What are you looking for?
The Ray Strong Foundation was created about 4 years ago. It came after, as a couple, we had our first child. She was born at 24 weeks. She weighed 1 pound, 12 ounces. Then she proceeded to spend another 4 months in the NICU. That was the time that she should have been growing in the womb. During the 4 months, you know, we visited her daily, and we got to sit down with the doctors and the nurses, and the amount of medical knowledge and what they can do to make sure that your child survives is amazing. And just the experience, it was nothing we could have ever been prepared for. So emotionally, we became very tied to the micro-preemie world. And that was when we decided to create a foundation with the goal of trying to give thanks back to the NICUs, the nurses, and then also provide any sort of emotional or financial help to other families that might experience what we went through.
We've had the opportunity to host over 40 events, celebrating micro-preemies, fundraising, and bringing awareness to micro-preemies and their families. When you get a chance, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or our website at raystrong.org. Donate, and thanks again for all the support.
Thank you.
The nominees for the American Music Awards are revealed on Wednesday, and rapper Kendrick Lamar leads it with 10 nominations, including for Artist, Album, and Song of the Year. He's followed by Post Malone, who received 8 nominations, and Billie Eilish, Chappelle Roan, and Shaboozey. Each has 7 nominations. Taylor Swift follows with 6. The winners will be announced during an awards ceremony in Las Vegas in May, and hosting this year will be Jennifer Lopez. Flavor Flav worked in a shift at Raising Cane's in Las Vegas Tuesday. It's a part of the Hip Hop Stars marketing partnership with the restaurant chain known for its chicken fingers. Flavor Flav joined workers at the mall location to put together a box combos. He also performed at a song Flavor Flav's signature lock and is wearing a big clock around his neck. The marketing campaign includes a limited edition signed version of his clock covered in red rhinestones. They cost $5,000 each, with $4,000 of that going to Women's Sports Foundation. The popular streaming service Max wants to crack down on password sharing. The platform is launching a new feature called Extra Member Add-on. Max users who want to add an extra person to their subscription can now do so. It costs an extra $7.99 a month to add a family member or friend who doesn't live with a Max user. The move comes after the Max parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery, was getting ready to notify users of restrictions for sharing streaming accounts outside of their household. Streaming viewers want to find more about the papacy and the papal section process following Pope Francis' death. The papal intrigue movie Conclave soared to the top of the Prime Video's bestsellers list, less than 48 hours after the news broke about the Pope's death, according to data from Illuminate. The film has been seen at 283% increase in viewership between Sunday and Monday across all platforms. It was viewed for nearly 2 million minutes, and Sunday for nearly 7 million minutes. Monday, the acclaimed film follows papal section process filmed with the intrigue and drama. Illuminate also says that the U.S. viewership of the Netflix The Two Popes surged to 417% from Sunday to Monday. Goonies never say die, and neither does the Oregon Home. Featured in the 1985 classic film, Emmy Award-winning designer James Pierce Connolly is restoring the house back to its mid-'80s movie glory. He approached the homeowners in 2023 for the project. Connolly says that it will be a mix of old and new, as he intends to bring back the 1896 home up to 2025 code. While keeping the interior the way it was featured in the Goonies, the designer is trying to source as many materials locally as he can. Since Astoria played a huge part in the movie, Connolly's team hopes to finish the project in time for the film's 40th anniversary. Up next, Sharon Shurian is with your health update.
For over 50 years, WLRA has been on air showcasing countless students. As the first all-digital college radio station, Lewis University students are given access to industry-leading equipment. Equipment that commercial stations utilize, equipment that creates, and equipment that brings radio to life.
I like WLRA because it gives me the opportunity to get experience with news broadcasting and working with radio.
Stop by De La Salle 210 or at WLRA Radio to get started on your radio career.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Marty McCary says a planned phase-out of certain food dyes is aimed at making food healthier. Following up on Tuesday's announcement that the Department of Health and Human Services and the FDA seek to remove petroleum-based synthetic dyes from the U.S. food supply by the end of next year. Specific risks to human health from synthetic dyes have been somewhat understudied, but research in animals has shown a potential link between some dyes and an increased risk of cancer or tumors. Other research has pointed to restlessness, learning difficulties, and attention problems in some children with dye sensitivities. Some experts see the moves as precautionary without much hard evidence. The U.S. has made some progress in some fight against some cancers, but prevention for others isn't increasing. According to a report, the percentage of smokers dropped from 14% to 11% in 2023. Health officials say that is good news, since roughly a third of all U.S. cancer deaths are linked to tobacco use. But there are concerns about cervical cancer. The research shows less women are staying up to date with their screenings. HPV vaccines can stunt cervical cancer-causing infections, but vaccine rates have remained static over the past few years. The findings in the report came from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The American Cancer Society stresses staying current on all types of cancer screenings can potentially be the difference between life and death. A new poll shows that as measles misinformation spreads in the U.S., most people aren't sure what they believe the outbreak is centered in West Texas and continues to grow. New poll data on the topic was published Wednesday by KFF, Kaiser Family Foundation. It showed nearly 2/3 of adults have heard the false claim that the measles, mumps, rubella virus causes autism. About 1/3 have heard the false claim that the measles vaccine is more dangerous than the disease. Adults are more likely to say these claims are definitely false than definitely true. But many remain less than convinced. At least half of adults expressed some level of uncertainty by saying the false claims are either probably true or probably false. A new report has found nearly half of Americans breathe unhealthy levels of air pollution. The American Lung Association looked at air quality data from 2021 to 2023 for its annual State of the Air report. It found about 156 million people live in an area that the association gave a failing grade for ozone and 2 measures of fine particle matter pollution. That's 25 million more than last year's report. Fine particle matter can come from dirt, dust, or smoke. When a person breathes it in, it can get stuck in the lungs and bloodstream, causing irritation and inflammation. According to the report, the areas with around most year-round particle pollution are Bakersfield, Delano, California, Visalia, California, and Fresno, Hanford, Corcoran, California. Up next, your weather updates and then sports.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
It is a new day for jobs and careers, and the skills needed to compete are rapidly changing. This is why more students are choosing Lewis University. Lewis prepares you for emerging opportunities in some of the most highly sought after fields. Higher education is the most crucial investment you can make in your future. Lewis provides you with a lasting education that will launch you towards success today and strong growing careers of tomorrow. Begin an education that will pay dividends for a lifetime. Learn more at lewisu.edu.
Welcome back, Flyers, to your forecast for this week. Our tonight's low temperatures up north in Rockford, we have a low of 50, and up in Waukegan, we have a low of 46. When we get towards the city, we have a low of 49, and out towards where Lewis is between Joliet and Cicero, we are going to be teetering between 50 and 53 as our low. Down south, it's going to be 55 as our low in Kankakee, and out east, it's going to be 58 as our low in South Bend. For tonight's high, up north in Rockford, it's going to be a low of 79, and up in Waukegan, it's going to be 63 as our low. In the city, it's going to be 75, and out towards where we're at Lewis, our high is going to be 82 and 77 between there. Down south, it's going to be 82. For our map, it looks like we are pretty clear around the area. Up north, there's going to be some showers, and down south, there's going to be some scattered showers as well. But in this area, it looks like we are clear. So hopefully it is the start of summer with this nice weather and this sunshine. Temperature changes, we are at a 7-degree change towards Rockford and a negative 9-degree change towards Waukegan. Both of those are in the north. Down south towards Joliet, again where we are at, it's going to be a 3-degree temperature change, and at Cicero, it's going to be a negative 7-degree temperature change. Out east in Indiana, it's going to be a 6-degree temperature change. And for our 7-day outlook for today, it is 64 and partly cloudy, which is a great day. Tomorrow, it's going to be completely cloudy. 56 is going to be our high, 43 is our low. For the weekend, it looks like we have a great weekend, partly cloudy and sunny. 50 is our high on Saturday, and 63 is our high on Sunday. And then when we get towards the week, it's going to be partly cloudy throughout all of it. Tuesday, there might be a little bit of rain, and it's going to be a high of 78 on Monday, a high of 74 on Tuesday, and a high of 51 on Wednesday. That is all for our weather forecast this week. Now we're going to pass over to Frankie Corzo with sports.
Thank you, Christian. Lewis University has made a splash with the hiring of Ian Disseldorf as the new head coach for both the men's and women's swimming team, as announced Tuesday by Assistant Vice President of Athletics, Josh Ashlew. Disseldorf joins the Flyers after 2 successful seasons as the assistant swim coach at the NCAA Division I University at Buffalo, where he helped lead the Bulls to back-to-back fourth-place finishes at the MAC Championships and coached multiple all-conference athletes. Ashlew praised Disseldorf's energy and vision. Disseldorf brings a deep resume to Romeoville. Prior to Buffalo, he was the assistant coach and strength coordinator at Wabash College, where he transformed the team's training program and led the squad to consistent top conference finishes. He has also experience at the University of Akron and Augustana College, his alma mater. He plans to prioritize team culture, communication, and performance from day one. A meet and greet with Coach Disseldorf is set for Tuesday, April 29th at noon at the Neil Carey Arena. Flyer Nation, get ready. A new era in Lewis swimming has officially begun. Lewis University's Cody Donovan claimed individual medalist honors at the Great Lakes Valley Conference Championship on Monday, finishing 6 under par with a 2:10 at Silo Ridge Country Club. Donovan's performance helped the Flyers secure the number 3 seed for match play, but Lewis fell to number 2 seed Missouri S&T 4-1 in Tuesday's semifinal. The Flyers posted rounds of 298, 283, and 291 for a third-place finish in stroke play. Donovan carded rounds of 74, 69, and 67 to win by 3 strokes. Ty Dottie and John Attendito tied for 14th at 220 in match play. Attendito earned the lone point for Lewis with a 2-up victory. The Flyers now await the NCAA Division II regional selections set to be announced Friday at 4 p.m. Lewis University continued to dominate the outdoor track and field scene this week as 3 Flyers were named Great Lakes Valley Conference Athletes of the Week. The league announced Wednesday Denise Hernandez and Hannah Schmerka swept the women's awards, while Levi Graham took home Men's Field Athlete of the Week honors. Hernandez jumps to new heights. She turns heads at the Brian Clay Invite and Beach Invite in California, posting a season-best long jump of 6.17 meters to finish second at Brian Clay, then following it up with a 6.10 meter leap for third at Long Beach State. She now ranks first in GLVC and 9th nationally. This marks her second Outdoor Field Athlete of the Week award. Schmerka stays on fire and continued her record-breaking spring-setting outdoor personal bests in both the 5K and the 1500 at the Brian Clay Invite. She clocked in a 16:09.42 for 5th place in the 5K and took 3rd in the 1500 at 4:30.34. She holds the number 1 GLVC ranking in the 5K and is top 3 in the 1500. This is her 3rd Outdoor Track Athlete of the Week honor. Graham's hammer throws make a national impact. Graham competed in 3 meets over the weekend, landing NCAA provisional marks in the hammer throw at each. He opened with a 64.95 throw for second at Brian Clay, tossed 62.97 for 9th at the Beach Invite, and finished with a 64.40 throw for 10th at the Elite MT. Graham leads the GLVC and is ranked 3rd in the nation. This has 3rd weekly honor of the season. Up next, the Flyers are back in action this Saturday, April 26th at the Fighting Twilight Flyer Track, and field continues to soar as championship approaches. The winner of the Boston Marathon men's wheelchair division is a familiar face. Marcel Hug, nicknamed the Silver Bullet, earned his 8th win with a final time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 34 seconds. Hug has also won 9 Berlin marathons, 6 New York marathons, and 5 Chicago marathons. Susanna Saccaroni won the title in the women's wheelchair division with a final of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 20 seconds. This was her second victory after taking the crown in 2023. Last year, she wasn't able to participate because of an injury. We'll be right back after these messages.
What are you looking for?
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
For over 50 years, WLRA has been on air showcasing countless students. As the first all-digital college radio station, Lewis University students are given access to industry-leading equipment. Equipment that commercial stations utilize, equipment that creates, and equipment that brings radio to life.
I like WLRA because it gives me the opportunity to get experience with news broadcasting and working with radio.
Stop by De La Salle 210 or at WLRA Radio to get started on your radio career.
That's it for today's news. Thank you for watching. And as a reminder, you can always keep up with the Lewis University Television Network on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and by visiting our YouTube channel. I'm Francesca Corso.
And I'm Brandon Najera. Have a great night.